And this discussion we're having right now is a good one, so I appreciate that. In fact, what I might do is just sort of tag on to that a little bit. Mr. Stephanie, start with you, and maybe talk a little bit about the risk of not having the 31. In other words, you know, I think on the phone we discussed the illustration of the Turkey disaster and not having availability either to respond to that tragedy or to demonstrate power should we need it. Maybe just expand a little bit on why 31, whether you think it's 31, 32, why 31 is important besides it being required.
Yeah, I think actually, sir, if you don't mind, I'd like General Heckel to take that on. He's closer to the warfighter.
He sure is. Yeah.
So, sir, great question, and thanks for the time today. So 31 is the requirement, sir, the absolute floor. And what 31 assures is that we would have a 2.0 MU forward presence with the ability to surge to 5 in time of crisis, right? And, you know, they're beyond classification here, but there's a reason for that being able to surge to 5. It's key maritime terrain and SLOCs, et cetera. So my first 2 decades of active service, we had a 3.0 presence. There was constantly a MU forward deployed. And in my case, it was mostly in the Mediterranean, which oddly enough would have involved Ukraine. As we started, ships began to, as Admiral Khan said, the war on terror, we started riding the assets a little bit hard and not properly maintaining them. So we started having problems. So we have larger gaps. So when the earthquake happened in Turkey, a NATO ally, the MU was not on station, and it should have been. And that is what a MU is. A Marine Expeditionary Unit is organized, trained, and equipped. We can use surface-to-surface connectors, you know, the LCACs, the LCUs, to deliver heavy equipment that could have assisted with search and rescue, and we would have come ashore with shelters that would have provided heat and supplies, and the ships are rolled to hospitals. So that's the short answer.
I think it's a great answer. I think it's a good illustration of the importance of it all. I want to, maybe Admiral Khan, I'll come over to you now and talk more generally about ship maintenance. If we accept that the procurement of new ships won't be ready till the end of this decade, maintain the existing fleet, you know, for the next 5 years. These critical 5 years I referenced earlier becomes maybe one way to make sure we're okay. I'm going to ask 2 questions sort of as one so that you can sort of opine more generally perhaps. Are the surface and undersea fleet readiness rates where you think they should be, first of all? And second of all, is the Navy deferring ship maintenance to keep ships in operation?
Are we where we want to be? No. Do we know what we need to do? Yes. For the undersea domain, there's over $2 billion dedicated as part of this PB24, dedicated to improving the maintenance of our submarine assets, decreasing the idle time for the ships that we already own. It's our most asymmetric advantage that we have in the undersea domain, but they have no advantage if they're tied to the pier. And same thing, just to be clear on the LSDs, if we can't get them away from the pier in the time that we have, and really this is about opportunities. Do we want to, for the cruisers and LSDs, to buy them back would be about $3 billion. Is that the right thing to do with those $3 billion? We believe, from a best military advice perspective, based on our assessment hull by hull of those ships, the answer is no. And then there's also the opportunity to perhaps free up some of those yard piers where we could do other work. And for the sailors that are on those ships to be able to go at sea and start buying down some of the significant gaps at sea that we have. So those are the opportunities, and those are some of the tough choices that it was a tough choice for us, and I realize it's a tough choice for you.
Yeah. No, well put. Mr. Stephanie, my understanding is that while the Navy's made some progress on the maintenance backlog, we still have obviously a long ways to go, I think. There's a significant amount remaining. Can you tell me what does it mean when it says 100% of ship depot maintenance requirements to be funded in this budget? I mean, what does that practically mean, 100%? Because it does seem a little bit conflicting.
Yeah, so I think that's focused at our public shipyards and the work, the planned availabilities, that the number of submarines are going to go into those yards, and the amount of work that's planned in all those work and those availabilities is funded. It doesn't fund unplanned work. but all the planned work and those availabilities, sir.
Well, and just following up real quickly on that, because we did, on the phone again, we talked about the workforce challenge, and the public shipyards are claiming they need 5,000 to 10,000 more, added to their workforce. Could that throughput even be done if we don't get that workforce up? And I don't want to oversimplify getting that job done, but I just want to understand it.
We typically talk in terms of money, as the input metric. But, in terms of PB 24, it funds 75 avails, 32 of which are private avails, 15 east, 17 west. And it continues the OPM pilot for the fleets. $2.7 billion, but it's for 28 ships and 1 submarine. That's all part of this plan. So I think that's part of the funding, the maintenance required.
And to your point, sir, we have a national workforce availability issue. So even if we had more billets and more funding at the public yards, our ability to hire might be constrained in getting to that higher number, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.